The video you're about to watch is the most important video that I put up on my channel so far. I walk through the 7 psychological and sociological heuristics and biases that we engineer into our events. We have leveraged these to make over $5 million in revenue from both in-person and virtual events while still maintaining a 4.5 out of 5 attendee satisfaction score. So this is powerful stuff. And whether you are an event planner or a coach, consultant, entrepreneur who's looking to scale your business with events, this is the stuff that you need to understand because these are the rules of the environment that you are playing in. And you can either leverage it and engineer it to work in your favor, or you can leave it up to chance and have it potentially work against you, which you don't want. So make sure you watch this video, watch it again, watch it a third time, take some notes. And if you are unable to sit down and watch a 30-minute video that teaches you how to create better events that also make you more money, then maybe you should reconsider getting into the events world. But with all that said, I'm gonna jump over to my computer now and we are going to dive in. So today I'm going to be talking about how to leverage psychology and sociology to create better events that also make you more money. Of course, you want to deliver an amazing experience to your attendees. These tactics will help you with that. But there's also almost always internal objectives, business objectives that need to be met with events as well, usually financial. And these strategies and tactics will also check that box as well. So let's dive into it. The first one I want to talk about is leveraging social proof in marketing for your events. And social proof is a heuristic, a bias that humans have where we associate value with something that other people are doing. And we want to see that other people are doing something else to kind of show that it's safe and that it's proven before we do it and take that risk upon ourselves. Leveraging social proof is a great way to get more people to attend your event. You know, if you have an event where there's absolutely no social proof, no testimonials, no proof of life at all, not even speakers or sponsors, anything. It's just like a website saying, hey, here's this event that's happening at blank time, at blank location, come join. Compared to an event that has testimonials from previous events, you know, footage from previous events, or even just testimonials in general about the brand. If you haven't done an event before, a video showing you as the event host explaining what's going to be going down, you know, maybe some speakers, some sponsors, you know, other brands that are associated with your event, whatever it is. If you compare those two events together, you know, side by side, people are definitely going to be attending the one that has more social proof just because of that, you know, heuristic in our mind. Like I said, this can come in the forms of testimonials. It can be pictures from previous events. It can be speakers. It can be sponsors. You know, when those two speakers and sponsors associate themselves with your brand, that gives you a lot of legitimacy. One that we like to do is a tickets sold section. You know, you don't really want to do this until maybe you've reached over half of your ticket capacity is sold out. But if at the top of your website or somewhere on the website you say, you know, 50 out of 100 tickets have been sold, or 70 out of 100 tickets have been sold, as long as it's true, you know, you don't want to lie about this and fabricate numbers. That's a good way to show that other people are buying tickets or RSVPing or are attending the event, which is also a really good addition of social proof. And like I said, social proof adds more legitimacy to your event and shows potential buyers that it's real, it's happening, that other people are taking part as well, which will make people trust you more and also kind of want to be a part of that group that's you know, taking part in your event. The next one is reciprocity. Now, if you've read the book, what's it called? Influence the Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. He talks a lot about reciprocity in that book. But reciprocity is a psychological and social principle where people feel an obligation to return a favor or respond positively to kind actions or gestures. So that's like the, you know, official definition of reciprocity. It's really interesting how far some people take this. I've, you know, listened to some interviews by some CEOs or some, you know, influential business owners, and they will even go as far as to say, like, I'm not going to accept water, or I'm not going to accept snacks or coffee at a meeting from, you know, someone I'm trying to do a deal with because of reciprocity, because of how powerful it is. I don't know if I'd go that far. You know, I was just at a meeting the other day and I took a glass of water because I was thirsty. And I did not end up going through with the deal. So that the reciprocity didn't work there. But it is a very powerful psychological principle that's definitely, you know, definitely exists in the way that we interact with each other and exists inside of our DNA. And it's definitely something you can engineer into your events to produce a, you know, a higher ROI for whatever you're trying to get out of the event. So you can leverage reciprocity to get more sales or positive testimonials on your event. And a few ways that you can, you know, engineer reciprocity at your events is to just simply give a ton of value. You know, if someone comes and attends your event and you truly just blow them away and you give them so much value and they're walking away like ready to go implement what they just learned, that is a lot of value given to them. and they're more likely to buy your product, or they're more likely to say yes to a testimonial, or more likely to attend your event again, or just to speak highly of you in conversation with their friends. Oh, hey, like I went to this guy's event, it was really good, really high quality. Powerful word of mouth is pretty pretty significant in the event industry. So another way you can engineer reciprocity into your events is with bonuses, just giving your attendees bonuses when they sign up for your event or buy a ticket, something they weren't expecting. Kind of the principle of under promise and over deliver. That's a great way to engage reciprocity. You can just do simple swag at registration. If someone shows up at the event, they get a t-shirt they weren't expecting. That's a little bit of reciprocity, and they're based on the law of reciprocity, they're going to want to feel like they should give back something in return, which could be anything from a positive review all the way up to buying your program, whatever it is. And giveaways are another great way to do this. We do this a lot on virtual events. If there's a 90-minute virtual event, we'll usually do a couple 1 to 2 giveaways throughout the event, just to give someone a Amazon gift card, or give someone give an AirPods away, or you can kind of spend as much as or as little as you want on these giveaways, but just these little tiny moments of reciprocity is going to psychologically make someone want to give back in return as well, which is what you want. The next one I'm going to talk about is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. In 1954, a psychologist named Abraham Maslow mapped out a human's hierarchy of needs. And the hierarchy of needs kind of goes like this. So first is physiological needs. So this is, breathing, air, oxygen, drinking water, just the basic fundamentals that we need to survive that our body already satisfies. Then there's safety and security. So just not feeling like you're in danger, not feeling like you could be harmed, that you and your loved ones, your pack is safe. Then is love and belonging, which is like being a part of a community. That's our tribalism gene, which I'll be talking about in the future of this presentation. But love and belonging, feeling like you're a part of something. Then self-esteem, being confident in yourself, feeling like you're a competent individual who's capable of doing things and achieving your goals. And then finally, self-actualization is kind of like the pinnacle of the human experience, where usually I was reading up on this. It's in the actual hierarchy of needs as mapped out by Maslow, like self-actualization is almost like enlightenment, which is something that might not ever be achieved in an individual's lifetime. But you can kind of walk your attendee through a mini version of this hierarchy of needs at your event. Like I said, engineer your event to take them through a journey of the hierarchy of needs on just a smaller scale. So just a few examples, physiological needs, those are already checked off, but just making sure that they have access to a bathroom, access to drinking water. There's food nearby, just like basic survival needs. In the event industry, especially when you get up into the events of 1,000, 2,000 people, sometimes just a couple water fountains in the venue is just not enough to satisfy the thousands of people that want to have some water during your event. So just making sure that basic physiological needs are met and satisfied at an event can actually kind of ignite this whole process of the hierarchy of needs. And then safety and security, this one should be checked off as well. Hopefully your event isn't dangerous in any way. But one thing we like to do at our events is we have security present at all of our bigger events, just so people see them and they feel safe. Like, okay, there's security guards here. If something goes wrong, they will be here to protect us. Just making sure your event is in a safe area where people are like kind of walking around getting food and they don't feel like they're in danger. Just a few of those basic needs, but that should be checked off for most of the events. And then love and belonging is where it starts to kind of fall into your court. This is essentially the community. People, one of the biggest reasons why people attend events is to become a part of something. They see an event, whether it's an event on funds, or an event on real estate, or an event in marketing, an event in SEO, e-commerce, whatever it is. They see a group of people that are gathering and they want to be a part of that group. And there's going to be teaching, there's going to be content there. That's all important, but they see a group that they want to be a part of. That also is like in our tribalism gene, which I'm going to be talking about. But creating an atmosphere where your attendees can feel loved and belonged to your group. If I don't know if belonged is a word. But a great way to do this is like a lot of intentional networking. At some of my first events, I used to be very content heavy. I would just, give them 12 hours of content every single day, tons and tons of speakers with no time to network. And then I would wonder why people were out in the hallways not listening to the speakers and they were, talking to each other. And then I realized that people just want that connection. They want to feel like they are a part of a group. So if you can engineer that into your event with some intentional networking, and during the sessions, have people talk, have people go up and meet someone that they haven't talked to yet, actually try and build and foster real relationships that will continue to ascend them up this hierarchy of needs, which will make them like more satisfied and fulfilled with your event. And then self-esteem. This is where you can make your attendee feel competent. And a way to do this is to just have them, a lot of times at an event, there's a lot of lecturing and talking on stage, and someone's like writing down their notes, and that's kind of like there's kind of like a fourth wall between the speaker and the audience and the attendees. But if you can break that fourth wall and actually have your attendee talk to the person next to them, and share in small groups and then share in larger groups, and actually brainstorm their ideas and actually get something in motion, this kind of reinforces in their brain that, like, yes, they're not just learning the content, but they're actually implementing the content, and they start to have this belief that they can actually do it and actually implement the stuff that you are teaching them, instead of them just like listening and writing down. It kind of makes it feel a little unobtainable. So just make sure that people are doing things in your engineering activities into your event that just make people feel like they're competent and skilled and are able to achieve these goals. And another way that you can do this with your speakers is by having somebody that maybe was like in your audience a few years ago but now has succeeded, or someone who's just above or just further down the road than your attendee is. So maybe you're teaching people how to start an online business that makes 10 grand a month. Maybe have someone who's making like 50 grand a month up there on stage talking about how they went from 0 to 50K. And that can kind of, it's not as far away as somebody getting up on stage who's doing like $1 million a year with their online business. Like that seems kind of unobtainable. But if you have someone that's like within reach of your attendee, that's going to kind of engage their ego, and they're gonna be like, hey, that person's like just right there. They were in the seat that I'm sitting in a couple of years ago. Like, I can do this. So just be aware of these things. And finally, self-actualization. Like I said, this is like enlightenment. So this might not happen actually, but identify what self-actualization is for your attendee. There's this gap that you're filling with your event of where your attendee is before the event and where they want to be after. And where they want to be after is that self-actualization. So going back to the making 10 grand a month with an online business, if that's what your event is about, at the end of the event, they should be, self-actualized as this new person after going through your experience and ready to go out there and actually start an online business where they're ready to make 10 grand a month. Like that's the completion of your event. That's like their entire hero's journey, is going through your event as somebody who maybe doesn't know how to, or isn't skilled enough, or is confused on how to do it. And then at the end, they are ready, locked in. They have all your systems and processes to go out and implement. So just be aware of all that. Up next is tribalism. So I've been talking about this subtly through the last couple slides, but tribalism is our human desire to want to be a part of a group, community, or tribe. By creating a community atmosphere at your events, you will cater to the tribalism in our DNA. This goes back to all the way, at the beginning of time, when humans were, first evolving into beings that could communicate and were even able to form a community. We had this desire to go find others that were on a similar path as us, and were, could also speak language and could also communicate, and, build little communities. And it's kind of evolved into where we are today as a society. We're very communal creatures and very social creatures. And we, like I said in the previous slide, we all have this like really deep down innate desire to be a part of something and be a part of a community. So if you can create that community at your event, then you're going to really cater to this gene, this thing that's like biologically inside of us that we need to satisfy, which a lot of people are missing these days. This is why I'm a big believer in in-person events, because, using the pandemic as an example, COVID, we were the most virtually connected we had ever been. However, if you go look at like the trend of like the search of loneliness, or how to make more friends, or how to stop being lonely, like those were all like spiking during that time, just because even though we were virtually connected, we didn't have that in-person connection, which makes events the perfect place to satisfy that tribalism gene. So here are a few ways you can create a tribe at events. So like I said on the previous slide, have intentional networking. You can also have a digital community. So this would be for digital events, or prior to your in-person event, having some sort of digital community where people can go on there and they can meet people and start to get value from your event before the event even starts. That's a great way to start a tribe. Shared rituals is a cool way to do this. And I don't mean like, blood sacrifices on stage by any means, but just having things that you guys do at your event that is like, hey, we do this. A good one that I can think of is Garrett White, who's a speaker. He speaks at Funnel Hacking Live, which is a big marketing conference. He also does his own events, and he does this like little ritual where he goes like it's like two claps, and then you make a loud like hoo-ah, two claps. Oh no, it's two claps, boom. So it's like two claps, boom, and that's their ritual. They do like his community does that, and whenever he comes on stage at Funnel Hacking Live, he always like does that a few times to like get people's attention, and like that's their ritual, and you kind of feel like you're a part of that inner circle community. And then a special language is also very important. This is what Funnel Hacking Live does really well. Russell Brunson's event is like in the funnel hacker community, like even that word funnel hacker. Like if you were to walk up to some random dude at a gas station and say like, "Hey, are you a funnel hacker?" He'd be like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Um, but everybody inside of the funnel hacking community knows what that means, and like all their merch says funnel hacker or like funnel hacking live. All this different language makes you feel like you're kind of in on something, and you have like this secret code that's part of your community. So if you can engineer that into your events, that will be money and will really satisfy that tribalism gene. And then finally, emotional connection, like trying to get your attendees to actually connect with each other and actually foster real relationships is another great way to satisfy tribalism. So up next is scarcity and urgency. So if you are selling something at your event, leverage scarcity and urgency to increase conversions. This is another heuristic that we have that we operate on, where if a pressure is applied to us or if we see something that might be taken away, it's kind of in our it's in our DNA to respond to that and be like, okay, I need to take action on this now before it's gone. It's a scarcity mindset that we kind of evolved from, where it's like, I need to eat all this food right now because I don't know when food will be available next. It's kind of like that with your offer. If someone sees your offer and it's a great offer and it's a valuable product and it's available to them right now, but they don't know if they'll ever get a chance to join again, it's something that they want to take you up on. But you'd be surprised at how many people don't engineer this into their events, and they just kind of give you an offer to do something, and then they just let it sit and say, hey, you can join this now. If not, no worries. Hit me up in a couple of weeks and we'll get you in then. You might get some people to join with that pitch. It works sometimes, but you're not going to maximize your conversions if you're not leveraging scarcity and urgency. So make the attendee feel like this is truly the one chance they'll ever have to buy your offer, and make this the truth. It's really easy to sniff out fake scarcity when someone's like, this is the last time you'll ever get this offer, and then they do the same event like next week and it's the same offer. Even if you're tweaking the offer a little bit, like add one special bonus or change the price a little bit or add something that's unique about that offer so that you can genuinely say like, this is the last time you will ever get this offer. Or you could even have the examples right here. So capping buyers, this is one that you could do where it's better when this is genuine as well, but you could say, hey, I can only take on like 5 to 10 new clients, so whoever joins, it's like first come, first serve, and everyone else, maybe you can get it later, but I don't know how long these clients will be with me. So capping your buyers is a great way to apply some scarcity and urgency. A countdown timer is another great way to actually visually display scarcity and urgency. And then establishing a clear cutoff. So say you're doing an event, it's Tuesday to Thursday. You do the pitch on Thursday, and then you say, hey, you have until Sunday to decide. After Sunday, it's going away forever. That's another great way to do that. My favorite one, though, is capping buyers. And that's good, too, because you can really focus on your service delivery. And you don't have, 100 people joining into your service or your program, whatever it is, and you deliver poorly because you have too many people joining. You should really calculate how many people you can take on and still, properly deliver your service to them, and then use that as scarcity and urgency at your event. All right, number 6 is Occam's razor. Now, this one is mainly for you, the person that's going to be planning the event. What's funny is if you go look up the definition of Occam's razor, it's actually like a little complicated. So I had to like put it in Chat GPT and be like, hey, can you simplify this for me? Because I've been using Occam's razor as a planner. I just like think of it all the time. But then when I looked up the definition, I was like, wait, is this like the right thing? Have I been mislabeling this, model I have in my mind? But it's what I was thinking of. However, they just make it sound very complicated online. But Occam's razor essentially is the idea that the simplest answer is usually the closest to the truth. Or in the words of Steve Jobs, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So if you can make the journey through your event as simple and effective as possible for the attendees, you will win. There's so many ways to complicate an event for an attendee. Just don't go down that rabbit hole. There's like so many shiny objects out there now, especially in the events world, where it's like, oh, all these cool apps and all these cool AI services and these immersive environments and like so much technology. But you got to realize that, people are slowly catching up to this trend. And if you go and you implement all of these crazy shiny objects into your event and make it complicated, people are just going to kind of either miss things or get confused, get upset because they don't know how to maximize their experience at your event. Whatever it is, just try to keep it as simple as possible. So if you're going to have an event app, just have one app that you use for all of your events, and it's very easy to download, it's very easy to use. Don't have like multiple applications or like multiple forms of communication. If you're going to just have one place that you communicate with your attendees, have one place where they can go to find all the information for your event. When they get to the event, have branding that shows exactly where they go for registration, have an itinerary that shows exactly where they need to be and when. Just make it very simple for them, and you're going to succeed as a planner, and your event is going to be much better than if you make it super complicated and complex. A lot of people think that an event needs to be complicated and complex to be good and sophisticated, but like Steve Jobs said, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. If you go in any app product is one of the easiest pieces of technology to use. However, they're one of the most advanced companies in the world, and that's because they are so simple. Like I said, complexity usually leads to confusion. And my business partner Ethan and I have a joke at our events where we say, when you're communicating with attendees, we need to pretend like we are communicating with fifth graders. That's the truth. You'd be surprised at how many times we have like put branding on the walls and signs in front of people that show them where registration is, and they just like stare at the floor the entire time, and they miss all the branding, and then they walk up to you and be like, hey, where's registration? And you say, oh, did you see any of the dozens of signs that were pointing to registration? Like, oh no, I was like on my phone, or oh, I didn't see them. So like just really think through every possible scenario, and like imagine, even like if you have a 5-year-old in your network or a fifth grader, like walk them through your event plan and see if they understand it. Or if you have a kid or something, or just anybody that you can walk through your experience before the experience happens. If they are good, if they get through it with that no problem, then you are on the right direction. All right, the last thing I want to talk about is the Lollapalooza effect. So the Lollapalooza effect is a mental model that states that multiple psychological principles and mental biases can work together to produce an extreme result. Now, this can work in both the positive and the negative direction. So you need to be careful as a planner. You want to make sure that you're engineering all of these things that I just talked about, plus any other psychological phenomenon or models, or just anything that's going on in your event. You want to make sure that it's all working in your favor instead of working against you, which is why I like to be intentional about it. I like to go through an event and make a list of all of the psychological principles and like the environment that we're playing in, like what's happening, like what is inside of what's happening on a biological level, a psychological level, and a sociological level, like what's happening at every single level, and how can I intentionally engineer the event to work in my favor, instead of just like leaving it all up to chance, because things could work against you as well. So if you are intentional about your planning and start engineering psychology into your event, you can leverage the Lollapalooza effect to your advantage. And an example I put on here is one of our most successful events, the Fund Launch Live series. It was this massive conference for emerging fund managers. And we were very intentional about the experience and very aware of the psychological and sociological principles that were at play. And we leveraged them to, create an amazing experience for attendees, but also generate a massive ROI at the event. And it worked really well. However, if you are careless in your planning and leave it up to chance, psychology and sociology doesn't know right or wrong. It's a universal law. It's not a priest preaching to you in a church. So it's going to act, it's going to compound, it's going to move in whatever direction it has the most momentum. And a couple of good examples of this are Woodstock 99 and the Fire Festival. So these are two events that went horribly wrong. Woodstock 99 turned into basically Lord of the Flies, where there was riots and looting and people burning stuff down and lots of, assault and harassment. And also just like a very, very horrible event, horrible outcome of an event, but also like a very interesting science project or like sociological experiment to show what happens when a large quantity of people have all of these psychological and sociological, you could say, tendencies or a phenomenon that are happening at once in the wrong direction. It was a combination of like no water, no bathrooms, violent musicians, the way that the youth were acting at that time, like in the late 90s. It was a very like rebellious and very like, you could say, I'm kind of blanking on the words, but like mischievous time where there are a lot of troublemakers, a lot of rebels, and it was like kind of like a rebel culture. And all of this culminated into the Woodstock 99 festival. Also, another one was like way too many people. There were, I think there was like 100,000 people at this music festival. And all of these things were working in the wrong direction to cause, the worst possible outcome. And then same for Fire Festival. This one was mainly just poor planning on the individuals that were putting it together. If you're in the events industry, or if you're thinking of hosting events and you haven't seen these two documentaries, like Woodstock 99 and Fire Festival, you should definitely go watch them, because it kind of teaches you as a planner what can go wrong and how, it's up to you to not let that happen. Fire Festival was the same thing though. A lot of bad things essentially were just working in the wrong direction, which caused a terrible outcome. So make sure that you are intentional and aware of the psychology and sociology that's happening at your event, and make sure you engineer it and leverage it to work in your favor instead of against you. All right, a few final notes that I have. So when planning an event, you are dealing with humans, groups of humans. It is essential that you understand basic psychology and how to engineer it into your events. If you don't, you are working against biology, and it's not going to work out for you. Don't just assume that it's all going to go well, because it won't. Like I said, psychology and sociology, they don't know right or wrong. It's a universal law. It's like the rules of the environment that we play in, and it will work in your favor or against you depending on how intentional you are about integrating it into your event. And Charlie Munger once said that when studying a discipline, you really only need to understand the big idea, not the intricate details. The big idea is where the power is held. So a lot of these things I talked to you about, there's, for reciprocity, there's like a number of, experiments and studies and papers and like so much analytical data about reciprocity that you could go and study and make sure that you fully understand the entire landscape. However, what you just need to know is reciprocity is a heuristic where people feel the tendency to want to return a favor when someone gives them something. That's very simple. That's like the high level summary. And if you just understand that, you can go and implement that into your event. You don't need to spend time studying like the deep science of every single psychological, heuristic or tendency that humans have, so that you can, just understand everything. Just understand the big idea, and then go and implement it into your events. And I believe that is everything. So those are 7 psychological and sociological tendencies and phenomenon that we like to engineer into our events. You have the decision as a planner to be intentional or to not be intentional, and not to acknowledge the rules of the environment that you're playing in. I recommend to watch this video a few times and go and implement it into your events, and maybe go study a few others that are out there. I depending on the feedback of this video, I might make another video that kind of continues on more of the principles that we use. And if you're an entrepreneur who's hosting events for your business, it's very common in the world of entrepreneurship, people who are introducing events into their business model, to be very lackadaisical and just be like, hey, we're just going to throw an event and it's going to happen. And I'm going to, check a few boxes and sign a few contracts and it's all going to work out together. Like, do not do that. Do not overlook the planning and the logistics and the coordination that happens with an event. If you truly can't do it yourself, hire somebody to do it for you. Because like I was telling you with Woodstock 99 and Fire Festival, it could go really, really poorly, and you don't want that to happen. All right, thank you for watching. Feel free to drop any comments you have down below, and I'll see you in the next video.